The time that you went to Turkmenistan, I was listening to in a recent interview that you're still at that level of that blue belt. Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of the only time you really took off from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you transitioned back into jiu-jitsu after that, was it an easy transition? Were you able to train at all when you were there?
No training was possible. But they did have a bit of a wrestling history. Turkmen people like to wrestle, and it's called they call it Turkmen Sambo, and it's crazy. And they actually put me in a village where they had a bit of a wrestling history. And in that village, one time a year, they host a wrestling tournament. But it's kind of crazy. It's kind of Sambo-ish, right? You put on the kimono top, you put on your belt, but you just wear shorts. And you're just in a dirt field. And you have to stand chest to chest. And I put my right hand behind your back, and I slip it under your belt. And then I wrap around, and I grab the belt. So I'm and then you do the same thing to me with your right hand. So we're kind of locked and loaded. And then they say, go. And it's the first person to pick up the other one and drop him wins.
That's it.
It's crazy. And they're just dropping each other on the rocks, you know? Jeez. And I remember they had this tournament, and they knew that I was a wrestler. I told them. And they were like, Josh, go out and wrestle. And I was like, fuck no. I was like, they're going to put me against the biggest Turkmen they have. He's going to drop me on my collarbone probably and break it because I don't know how to use a belt grip like the way they do. And then what? Then where am I going to go? What hospital am I going to go to? That piece of shit building down the street with the quacks? You know, like I saw them try to repair a kid's arm that dislocated by pulling it straight and smearing egg over it and wrapping newspaper around it. And it was all dislocated, but they made it like straight. You know, it should be like like in a sling, huh? You know, I'm not a doctor, but even I know enough. But their doctor did that. The medical situation in Turkmenistan is horrendous. Horrendous. They share needles, bro. The doctors were share needles between patients.
I'm sure most people, I personally, Hans, did you even realize it was that bad there? I had no idea.
They just have no education. Zero.
I kind of assumed that whole area, like Kyrgyzstan and Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan, I thought they were kind of all similar. I didn't realize Turkmenistan was at that level.
Turkmenistan is at the bottom, right? Kazakhstan is okay. Yeah. It's not a terrible place. I think Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, I think those are pretty bad places. I think Kyrgyzstan has a bit more going for it. They're a little more open. They have a little more, they're just more open. So they have more education from now. So they have an American university there.
I think Valentina's from there, Shevchenko.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah.
The problem is the lack of education. And the Turkmen government does not want an educated population. They want, the president wrote this book, which is probably the equivalent to Mein Kampf. Right? It's just nonsense, just like babbling. Like it almost hurts to read it. You're trying to follow it, and it's just everywhere. And it just kind of is talking about the Turkmen people, or
just propaganda.
It's propaganda. It's just pure propaganda, and it's just not well organized.
I saw
not well written.
When I was in North Korea, I had the propaganda books that they gave, and it's like it's English, but it's giant words babbling, and it's clearly it's been translated. The worst part is when I left China, I left it at a friend's house, and then my friend lost this box of all my North Korean stuff. I ain't going. But that book was the one thing I wish I still had. But yeah, it's the same thing. You're reading it, and like the imperialism of the greatest overlord of the number one master and blah blah. Oh my! You're like, what the fuck is this?
There's the kids in grade school study this book like it's a textbook, and the president would tell them, if you read this book cover to cover 3 times, you automatic guaranteed go to heaven. Shit like that, you know what I mean? Just a real wacky cult of personality.
Yeah, and if you're programmed, and like you said, if you don't know, you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know.
That's right. Yeah, if you don't know, you don't know.
Well, so, on that note, that connection to Thailand.
Yeah, so anyways, I was in Turkmenistan, and it's a government organization, so I'm required to get 3 weeks vacation every year. So for my 3-week vacation, we went to Vietnam, and we stopped over in Thailand first. And then we went to Vietnam, just me and my buddy. Hans, actually, was his name. Oh. Yeah, he was a half German, half Mexican world traveler, spoke 7 languages. And I thought,
are you half Mexican, Hans?
No, I can't live up to that.
Just imagine, but he looks, like he acts and looks more Mexican than he does German. His father was German, but his mother was Mexican. So you look at this guy, and you're like, oh, clearly he looks Mexican, but his name is Hans. And he speaks 7 languages. Very interesting character.
If you enjoyed this content, we're doing 5 clips like this a week. If you want to watch the full podcast, click here.